Konoha, Reviving Senju, starting with Concubines. Author, Vortex. Chapter 401, Holy Text A, Omniscient and Omnipotent, Yhwach. Not only the holy soldiers of the Invisible Empire, but also the Knights of the Star-Crossed Legion, all looked at the showdown in front of them with worried faces. My heart was almost in my throat. However, compared to the holy soldiers of the Invisible Empire, the Shinigami of Sirata do not have such a tense atmosphere. Because of the strength shown by Senju Kusanai, there has always been a natural sense of trust. This sense of security will not change based on the situation on site, because no matter what, as soon as they see Senju Starry Night, they know that this person is worthy of trust. No matter any emergency occurs, 057 Senju Starry Night will also take corresponding actions to deal with it. That calm temperament is definitely something that ordinary people cannot possess. Although hazard in front of him restricted 99% of Senju Starry Night's power, the Shinigami of the Sirata were not worried at all, because they all believe what Senju Kusanai said. Since the Commander-in-Chief Senju Starry Night said personally that he can crack this ability, he will definitely be able to do it. Since the Commander-in-Chief has not broken the limitation of this power, but can still have 100% confidence, it must be the consideration of the Commander-in-Chief. These people naturally trust the Commander-in-Chief 100%. Both sides looked at the duel in front of them with their own mentality, and the clouds in the sky also condensed into a cloudy scene under the squeeze of the upper and lower sword intent. Everything happened in the blink of an eye, and the two sword intentions collided invisibly. Shibushi has absolute cutting rules, and its cutting ability is almost beyond the rules of Zaraki Kenpaki Zanpei Kuto. The effect exerted is an absolute slash without any hindrance. Even if his own power is weakened by 99%, the effect of Zanpei Kuto will not be weakened. It's like reducing any number from infinity to infinity. An absolute attribute, even if it is weakened by 99%, is still an absolute attribute. Even if you are facing Hazard's super powerful ultra high density concentrated Ryatsu, even if you have a super sharp sword intent, in the face of absolute severing, he was ultimately vulnerable. Boom! The sound of the violent explosion instantly resounded throughout the bipolar hill, and the aftermath of the collapse of power also filled the entire canyon in an instant. Feeling the strong wind caused by the aftermath, everyone was blown away and couldn't open their eyes. However, the next second, Senju Kusanai no Yun instantly broke through the huge spirit sword with absolute cutting sword intent. Moreover, this violent slash did not seem to have any impact on Senju Kusanai's sword intention, and there was not even any pause. After splitting Hazard's sword intention, it actually slashed directly towards Hazard's body. Hazard, known as the half-body of Yhwach, was instantly split into two under such a slash. Everyone recovered from the strong wind, and after opening their eyes again, the first thing they saw was Hazard, who was split into two. I saw Hazard, who was split into two halves, slowly falling with a look of endless horror on his face. The Ryatsu that overflowed all over the body instantly filled the entire Shwangujai hill. Feeling such rich Ryatsu, Senju Kusanai nodded calmly. Although this person's head is bruised, his ability seems to be worthy of the gold content of this holy text B. While feeling emotional, Senju Starry Night also used Rinnegan's universal pull to directly suck Hazard back into the palm of his hand. Taking advantage of the situation, he activated Hungry Kaido's ability and sucked Hazard's ability crazily. In just a moment, Hazard, who contained infinite power, turned into two half-mummy corpses. In the shadow not far away, Yhwach was so angry that he stamped his feet when he saw this. Originally, after the death of these Quincy, those powers should have returned to Yhwach. However, Senju Starry Night drained Hazard's power before those powers could return. This caused Yhwach to miss out on a large part of his power. You must know that yesterday, for the idiot pure Hazard, he personally exchanged abilities with this idiot. His omniscient and omnipotent power temporarily entered Hazard's body. Although this ability was recovered after dawn, there was still some energy left that could not be recovered in such a short period of time. However, at this moment, Senju Starry Night 4.5 has directly absorbed this part of the power, and some omniscient and omnipotent special abilities will inevitably appear in the body. Facing an opponent of this level, this ability is definitely a hidden danger that must be guarded against, because Yhwach believes that once he is exposed to the slightest clue of omniscience and omnipotence, the opponent's strength will be able to decipher all the omniscience and omnipotence abilities. Then wouldn't my own strength be worth mentioning in front of him? Thinking of this, Yhwach also knew that he could no longer wait any longer. After thinking for a moment, Yhwach's expression became extremely critical, and he walked out of the shadows calmly. Chapter 402, What Are You Afraid Of? After Hazard's mummy was thrown on the ground, Senju Starry Night slowly digested and absorbed the power he had just obtained. Carefully feeling the omniscient and omnipotent power of Yhwach, Senju Kusanai also instantly felt the mystery of it. It turns out that the so-called omniscience and omnipotence are just like calculating formulas. The future that I can see is just some result calculated based on past experiences. However, these results will eventually become somewhat different as the experience changes during the process. After understanding the logic of omniscience and omnipotence, Senju Kusanai curled his lips with disdain. He boasts so much that he has gained so many fanatical followers. It turns out that the real Yhwach is just a magician. With this thought in his mind, a tall figure suddenly appeared in front of him. After seeing this person's appearance, Senju Kusanai nodded indifferently and said with a smile, "His Majesty Yhwach, the all-knowing and all-powerful one, you finally can't restrain yourself. Yet, I'm still wondering how many elites you have to lose before you are willing to show up in person. It seems that you have accumulated the power you want now." Senju Kusanai's words were naturally meant to be ridiculing. Originally, Yhwach used this method to consume the defensive power in the Quiet Spirit Court. Millions of holy soldiers invaded Soul Society, and after wiping out most of the Shinigami members, they then used the holy ability to absorb the remaining power of the million holy soldiers through the holy method through the Knights of the Star-Crossed Legion. After the people of the Star-Crossed Legion absorb a million holy soldiers, the 5 forces will make rapid progress. Then use the ability of the Star-Crossed Legion to consume the power of the captain and vice-captain level. After everything is almost the same, the ability of the Star-Crossed Legion can be transferred to the members of the guards through the holy ability, so that the members of the guards can be strengthened to the greatest extent. In this case, the 4 members of the guards plus the presence of Yhwach Hazard, these 3 people can directly consume the 5 major special forces. After making all the preparations, Yhwach's original idea was to sacrifice everyone through sanctification to realize his omniscience and omnipotence. However, he did not expect that his own bodyguards would be wiped out like this at this moment, and the final power in Yhwach Hazard's body was perfectly absorbed by his opponent. Doesn't my behavior like this make me a wedding dress for others? After the conspiracy that he had worked so hard to design finally came to fruition, others actually harvested the fruits of victory. When he thought of this, Yhwach became angry and indignant. Looking at the Senju Starry Knight in front of him, Yhwach snorted coldly. "According to my omniscient and omnipotent ability, it is not difficult to see through your true identity." While speaking, Yhwach paused for a moment, and then continued, "If I'm not mistaken, you shouldn't be from this world, right?" Faced with Yhwach's guess, Kiane Kusanai directly activated the 6 Magatama Rinnegan. "Yhwach, since you know so many secrets, with your omniscience and omnipotence, shouldn't you be able to see through my Rinnegan?" While talking, Yhwach finally realized the Rinnegan of Senju Starry Knight. Faced with such strange eyes, Yhwach also directly activated his all-knowing and all-powerful Rinnegan to conduct a wave of all-knowing and all-powerful explorations on his rival Starry Knight's 6 Magatama Rinnegan. After getting the result, Yhwach's expression turned pale with shock. How is this possible? Your eyes actually have this ability." This was the first time for everyone in the Star-Crossed Legion to see Yhwach looking so gloomy. Seeing Yhwach losing his composure, everyone in the Star-Crossed Legion experienced the terror of the Senju Starry Knight for the first time. "I thought that His Majesty Yhwach's personal appearance would change the situation drastically. Unexpectedly, His Majesty Yhwach in front of me would show an expression of fear when facing Senju Starry Knight. What kind of ability could make Yhwach so fearful?" 677 This is simply too incredible. However, Senju Kusanai's expression towards Yhwach was as expected. Looking at the frightened Yhwach, Senju Kusanai also smiled and asked, "You should have seen it, right?" "My ability, as long as I am willing, I can use these eyes to change your subconscious. Even if I ask you to forget your own abilities and become my most loyal dog, you will only wag your tail and willingly lick my shoes." After hearing Senju Kusanai's speech, although Yhwach felt extremely insulted, he did not dare to refute Senju Kusanai's words. Because he knows, as long as Senju Kusanai is willing, he really has this ability. In the face of absolute power, even omniscience and omnipotence can do nothing. Although he knew his fate, he was unable to change it. This feeling is the worst. Is it certain that my subconscious will be changed by the other party today? Chapter 403, The Omniscient and Omnipotent Dog. You must know that the existence of Yhwach is almost a product of the same time as the Soul King and his ancestors. As the son of the Spirit King, Yhwach also has some of the abilities of the Spirit King. After devouring the Spirit King, the effect of this ability will reach its peak. Looking at the Senju Starry Knight in front of him, Yhwach also smiled coldly. "Indeed, it is undeniable that your strength is relatively strong. However, you may have been a little negligent. That is, I sneaked into the Soul King's palace while you were still fighting. I have wiped out all the so-called personal guards of Division 0, and I have also successfully devoured the Soul King. At this moment, I have reached the pinnacle of omniscience and omnipotence. Would it be too simplistic to just use your ability to modify your subconscious mind to deal with me? As long as I still retain the ability to be omniscient and omnipotent, even if you exert the effect of subconscious modification on me, I will still be able to know what you have done to me immediately. As long as I know that my subconscious has been modified by you, I will naturally know what to do. So, your ability to modify your subconscious mind is invalid for me. Without the ability to modify my subconscious, there is nothing you can do against me." Yhwach was talking to himself. But Senju Kusanai looked disdainful and asked coldly, "Since you said you are the omniscient and omnipotent Yhwach, and you have indeed seen that my ability is to modify the subconscious mind, Then do you want to seriously think about it? Is it about modifying consciousness? Should I remind you that modifying the subconscious mind is not modifying the memory? I can make you subconsciously think that you are a dog. Even if you know that I modified this subconscious mind for you, you will still sincerely become a dog for me. Modifying your subconscious mind does not mean modifying your memory, nor will it cause you to lose your previous memories. You won't change your current thoughts just because you think of past memories and know that you have been subconsciously modified. Just because that's what I personally instilled in you. Do you understand? It's as if you exploit someone else's weakness to market yourself as omnipotent and omnipotent. The so-called believer Yhwach has eternal life. Doesn't it mean that you change the subconscious of those fools through pure brainwashing? Just like Hazard. He has not forgotten the fact that you killed his whole family, but he still didn't sincerely be your most loyal dog until the moment of death. After hearing these words from Senju Kusanai, Yhwach finally realized his ignorance. Unexpectedly, I had always thought of myself as omniscient and omnipotent, and in the end, I made such a childish mistake. Yes, people are modifying the subconscious mind, not the memory. So what if I know all the details of the matter through omniscience and omnipotence? People don't erase their memories at all, they just modify their subconscious. Is it really impossible for me to cope with it? Thinking of this, Yhwach felt deeply powerless for a moment. It turns out that this is how it feels to be a helpless, useless person. No wonder it's so easy to brainwash yourself with pure. It is precisely because those people are useless that they understand the powerlessness of being useless. In order to get rid of this feeling of powerlessness, even if they know that they are lying to them, those fools would rather deceive themselves and believe the nonsense they say. After all, they are just choosing this method to get the power they want. This world is so crazy. To think that the ancestor of the 5 great nobles cruelly cut up the body of the Spirit King and made it into human pigs. This is enough to show the madness of human beings. Therefore, the reason why he wants to destroy the world is entirely to punish those crazy humans. What's wrong with this? Fragments of various previous memories flashed through Yhwach's mind very quickly. After all the past, thousands of years of forbearance, and at the moment when my plan is finally coming true, why does a character who does not originally belong to my world appear in front of me? Is the appearance of this person destined? No, under the omen of my omniscience and omnipotence, you are nowhere to be seen. Who are you? Why do you appear in this world? Are you really going to use subliminal modification on me? Wang Luhao, you must know that what I do is also for the whole world. Why do you have to stop my great plan? Facing Yhwach's continuous questions, Senju Kusanai was not interested. Recalling the question just now, Senju Kusanai just smiled coldly. Enjoyment must be timely. The most important thing in life is to value the present. I don't have any lofty ideals or goals. Being happy now is my greatest meaning. And you actually want to destroy the world I live in. Then of course I won't let you go. Wild Dog Bar Private. Chapter 404, Your Majesty turned into a dog? As he spoke, Senju's 6 Magatama Rinnegan rotated counterclockwise. The powerful power from the Rinnegan was instantly engraved on Yhwach's soul. Can only be performed by 6 Paths Rinnegan. At this moment, Yhwach has devoured the Spirit King, and the survival of the 3 realms is also facing a countdown. If the new spiritual king cannot be found within a certain period of time, then the entire 3 realms will fall silent into nothingness. And the Yhwach in front of him is the best candidate. After all, he himself swallowed the Spirit King, so it is reasonable to replace the Spirit King and become the fulcrum of the 3 realms, right? However, if you want to replace the Spirit King in the Spirit King's palace, you need to become a human pig. In Senju Kusanai's view, it doesn't matter whether he becomes a human piggy or a dog piggy. Anyway, he is going to be the fulcrum of the 3 realms, so he might as well be a piggy. Thinking of this, Senju Kusanai also directly rewrote Yhwach's subconscious. Yhwach, who originally had great ambitions, at this moment, subconsciously became a mangy dog with no dignity and begging for mercy. After successfully casting the 6 Paths Rinnegan version of distinguished heavenly gods, Kusanai was also ready to test his results as soon as possible. Facing the confused Yhwach, Senju Kusanai shouted angrily, "You stinky bitch, kneel down." Facing Senju Kusanai's violent shout, Yhwach unexpectedly knelt down and opened his mouth wide, with his whole tongue sticking out as vividly as a mangy dog. The many holy soldiers of the Invisible Empire, plus the Knights of the Star-Crossed Legion, obviously did not expect that their Majesty Yhwach would kneel down directly. Even if you just kneel down, what's going on with this mangy attitude? Is this still the omniscient and omnipotent Yhwach they once believed in? Isn't it true that as long as you believe in Bbook, you will gain infinite power? So why did the omniscient and omnipotent Yhwach turn into a dog? This is simply incredible and beyond the scope of what everyone can understand. Seeing their Majesty Yhwach turning into a lapdog, everyone in the Invisible Empire realized how ridiculous their beliefs were. What kind of bullshit is omniscient and omnipotent? It's all lies. As his faith was shaken, Yhwach, who had been empowered, also turned into a pug that could only wag its tail and beg for mercy under the hypnosis of Senju Starry Knight's subconscious. All the members of the guards were wiped out, and the leader Hazard was also ruthlessly hacked to death. There are basically not many warriors left in the Invisible Empire. This battle can be said to be Senju Star Yoruichi's personal victory. Looking at Yhwach rolling on the ground in front of him, Senju Kusanai nodded secretly and ordered Karaku Shunsui beside him. Yhwach's body is still of great use to me. I want to take Yhwach to the Soul King's palace. The aftermath work here will be left to you. Aizen is now my subordinate, and I believe Aizen is absolutely loyal to me. The espada he brings is also something you can believe in. If anything happens, you can go to Aizen to discuss it. I'll leave this to you. After making the final work assignments, Ren Minxing I took Yhwach directly to the Soul Palace. Seeing the dilapidated appearance of the main halls in the Spirit King's palace, Senju Kusanai also sighed. It seems that Yhwach took advantage of the fact that the Jingling court was still in a state of war to sneak attack on the Soul King palace. Looking at the mess all around, it was obvious that he had experienced a very brutal and inhumane battle. There were broken walls and ruins everywhere, and the divine soldiers of the Lingwen Palace also fell in pieces. Seeing the sight of corpses strewn across the field, Senju Kusanai was secretly speechless. This Spirit King's palace looks extremely spacious, with no place to hide at all. However, even so, it was able to summon so many magic soldiers in the first time. It seems that the setting of the Soul King Palace is also very clever. It's a pity that they underestimated Yhwach's power in the end. Even if he has not yet devoured the Soul King, Yhwach's power is not something that ordinary people can match. Although Yhwach Hyosub can be regarded as a big boss who existed in ancient times, it is still very difficult when facing an opponent of the level of Yhwach. Although the final Yhwach was somewhat opportunistic, in any case, Yhwach Hyosub was no match for Yhwach. As a result, he missed a move and the final move and was killed by Yhwach. However, things are over now, and Yhwach Hyosub has become a cold corpse. At this time, Senju Kusanai looked at Yhwach Hyosub in front of him with indifferent gaze, and shouted disdainfully, "Yhwach Hyosub, get up quickly and stop pretending to be dead." As he spoke, Yhwach, who subconsciously felt that one of his own was enough, instantly became excited. He was as lively and active as a pug, as if he was expecting his master, Senju Kusanai, to praise him. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. And join my Patreon if you want to support me, link in the description. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.